Okay, it's Sunday again, and we have a game lined up, which is Vs Ogres against my Beastmen. So it's a 3,000 point game. It's meeting engagement, as you may guess by the deployment. We're running size again, so we've got his nice realm of battle board. Like I say, 3,000 points. I'll run you through my army first. I have a Tuskor chariot, 50 gore, with additional hand weapons, with the BSB in there. He's got the beast banner. Got 5 harpies, 7 minotaurs with Taurox. Got 20 gore, just serving as a bunker, though they do have full command. 40 Bestigore with full command. A Razor Pig, another Razor Pig. There's also the Herdstone there. And in reserve, as I rolled 1s for them, I have another Tuskor chariot, 5 harpies, and a level 1 of Shadow. Which reminds me, I've got a level 4 Brave Shaman of Beasts, and a level 2 Brave Shaman, also Beasts. So level 4's got Flock of Doom, Whiston's Wild Form, Savage Beast of Horos, and the Amber Spear. The level 2's got the Curse of Amra here, and Whiston's Wild Form, and the level 1 of Shadow has Mystifying Miasma. And that's it. So, hand you over to Si, see what he's got.
Okay, yeah, it's my Ogre army again. A few more models painted this time. I've got another nice saber tusk done, and a few more iron guts finished. Slowly working through these guys, taking time. But yeah, I'll run you through the deployment. I have a saber tusk, or some Skaven standing in for a saber tusk, so I can get another one. I've got 3 lead belchers, 10 Noblar trappers, an iron blaster, 9 ogre balls with full command, 15 iron guts with full command. Then I've got a BSB, a level 2 butcher, and a level 4 slaughtermaster. Then I've got 4 Mournfang, some Noblars, a couple of saber tusks up the centre. Then I've got another iron blaster and another 3 lead belchers over on the far of my right. I was fortunate, I didn't roll any 1s. I also have some new dice, as the old ones went straight in the bin after last week. They were absolutely terrible, so more than likely the binman's lorry will end up crashing due to the severe amount of fail and bad luck contained in that bin. But it's not my problem, as long as it doesn't stack it into your mum's car. Or my sister. Well, actually, stack it to my sister's. I don't really mind about that. So yeah, Ollie rolled highest, so he deployed first, and we set up accordingly. But I failed to roll a 6. I think even if I had rolled a 6, I would probably let him have first turn, as that's how I planned it. So yeah, it's on to Beastmen turn 1.
Okay, it's in the Beastmen turn 1 with mixed success. My harpies came on here, my other chariot came on here, and my level 1 scuttled up towards the Herdstone, although he's still not in range. And then I did some charging. I charged this not saber tusk, I wish it was a saber tusk. I charged the Razor Gore into his saber tusk, this Razor Gore into his Noblars, and this chariot into his other Noblars. These guys all moved up, although not very much. These guys just tried to stay within 6 of the Herdstone. Harpies moved up a bit. And that was all for movement. Then in the magic phase, I rolled an 8, 6 to Si, 8 to me. Obviously got 2 more, no channels. So I cast a Flock of Doom on 2 dice, got 16, so Si let that one through. Then I rolled double 1 for it. But I did actually manage to roll a 6 and a wound to saber tusk. But 1 wound on the saber tusk is as good as no wounds on the saber tusk. But yeah, so can't complain with that, right? You know, everyone rolls ones every now and again, right? Then I cast a something. Definitely cast something. Cast something inside of spells. Oh, it was Whiston's Wild Form on the Chariot. I was hoping to get lucky again, so I was having none of that and threw loads of dice to get rid of it. And then I cast an Amber Spear, which I was unable to dispel. Rolled pretty well for it, no miscast, all lovely. It's Iron Blaster, hoping to panic off the lead belchers. Then rolled a 1 to wound, which cycled. Then I changed dice because the amount of ones I was rolling. Because that wasn't all the ones I rolled, because on these charges, failed a Dangerous Strain for this Razor Gore, took a wound. Failed a Dangerous Strain for this Chariot, took a wound. Luckily it was only one wound. Yeah, it could have been much worse. So that was bad. Then in close combat, the Saber Tusk did 2 wounds to me. Great. Luckily I did butcher it. Well, that doesn't really count as butchering when you get that beat up doing it. This one actually took another wound from a Noblar, great, but did actually manage to kill 4 and break them. And then the Chariot managed to kill 3 on impacts, or 2 on impacts. Tuskle killed 1 and the Besticle killed another. And in return the Noblars failed to do anything, so... but they held because they're steadfast, which is... kind of don't really mind because it just holds up the Maul thing a bit longer, so not too bothered about that. And that was it. So it's the end of Beastmen turn 1, and yeah, not so sure how this is going to go, but we'll have to find out in Size turn 1.
Okay, it's the end of Ogres turn 1, and in a bid to try and outfail Ollie, I think I succeeded pretty well. Everyone moved up slightly, moved around. Let's see what happened. In the magic phase then, I basically... Oh, so I should have said the Noblars turned and carried on fleeing. In the magic phase, rolled 5 dice. 3 dice at Brain Gobbler on his unit, which I figured would be useful. Try and take his magic attack out without being too cheesy. And it panned out well. I got the spell off. However, rolling 3 dice, rolling a double 6 and 5, was a bit of a problem. I then rolled again to see what I got, and I got the 4 again, just like last week, and just like last week, and all the other times before, I got sucked into the void. However, we determined that would just not be in the terms of sensibleness, because, yeah, that seems to happen to me pretty much every time. Well, it has happened to me every time except one.
Yeah, I didn't want to sit through 4 turns of him moaning about it, so we agreed to put him back.
Well, yeah, it's essentially the game would probably be over by like turn 3. Otherwise,
I don't want to see that. Not the first time.
It's just crazy. I mean, my luck is pretty abysmal at the best of times, but that was a low not seen in a while. So obviously I killed 2 ogres and did my Slaughter Mastery wound. With that, unfortunately he failed his first attempt at the thing, so he re-rolled, but passed his second attempt with an 8. And what else happened? Then come the shooting phase. I managed to crack the barrel of this cannon, thus turning it into a chariot. And then over there, I actually hit, wounded, but did 1 wound. So, a grand total of next to nothing, which was heftily annoying. That seems to be the sort of standard thing that happens for me when pretty much every other player that's ever played Warhammer would probably have annihilated that unit by now, and Ollie would be picking his models up after crying. But yes, thankfully he never has to go through that because he plays me. So yeah, with that, we were going to close combat. Ollie managed to defeat the Noblars and catch them, chopping them up. So he's just sat there. So with that, that's pretty much the end of the go. So it's now on to Beastmen turn 2.
Okay, it's the end of Beastmen turn 2. Got quite aggressive. I charged this chariot into the lead belchers. I charged that chariot into the iron blaster. I charged the Bestigor into the other iron blaster. I charged the other razor gore into those lead belchers. I charged the minotaurs into that saber tusk, which fled. These gore into that saber tusk, which fled. And that was pretty much it. Then in the magic phase, I rolled a 7, a 5 and a 2, so I got 5. Then obviously got the extra dice, so I cast a miasma on the Mournfang, reducing the movement, but sadly only by 1. Then I attempted an amber spear, which I managed to get off and kill a Mournfang. Then I attempted a curse of Anrahir, which I dispelled. So that would have been on the balls over there. So that was it for magic. Then in close combat, the pig did 2 wounds to a lead belcher and died. Over here, this one, the chariot did in total 7 wounds before he got to swing. Then he did nothing in return and fled over here, which is nice because it's in the way of the Mournfang now. The other chariot had no luck whatsoever. He failed his primal fury, did nothing to the iron blast, and the iron blaster handed him his arse. So yeah, obviously these guys fled. This pig just moved round to become an extra redirector should I need it later. Yeah, and he just moved up to the herdstone. So that was it for so that was it. There was and the Bestigor murdered the iron blaster and overran into the balls over there. So yeah, pretty happy with that turn. So we shall head into Ogres turn 2. Okay, it's the end of Beastmen turn 4. So I attempted to charge the Gore Herd into the Mournfang, but they failed. So these guys just moved up. These guys obviously still in combat. So stay where they were. All my other chaff is dead. So I jumped the Harpies out, obviously because I failed the charge here from the building just to redirect the Mournfang. And then went straight to the magic phase. I managed to cast nothing actually. I cast an amber spear, which I dispelled.
And your curse of Anrahir.
Yeah, then I cast a curse of Anrahir on a double 6. So obviously it went through. And then I blew up 9 gore, and it's because it's on my level 2 that cast that. So he wasn't sucked into the void. Killed 9 gore and failed to wound himself, so just shows how inept he is. So that was it for magic. So obviously Curse of Anrahir on them, really nice. And then it was close combat. So in the close combat phase, I rolled for Primal Fury for the Bestigor. I rolled a double 1, which was quite nice. So they had, I don't even know what it's called, it's the first time I've ever got it, but they had Frenzy as well. So I went to close combat. Unfortunately, side rolled like a beast and killed 10 Bestigor with just 6 of these guys, which was horrible. And then in return, I killed 5 ogres and put 2 wounds on another one. So I won the combat because he wasn't steadfast anymore. He fled, I caught him, and thus was able to reform, which was nice because I was a bit worried about the frenzy overrun type thing. So they reformed like that. Obviously that was with Curse of Anrahir on, so they were doing pretty well. They did roll like absolute beast. So that was nice. So happy with that. And that's the end of my turn 4, wasn't it? Yeah.
Okay, it's the end of Ogre's turn 4. I charged the Iron Guts into the Bestigor. I then moved the lead belchers out of the tower, turned these guys around, how they were march blocked, so they could only move 7 anyway. The cannon moved on. Magic phase, I managed to get Curse of Anrahir off against the Bestigor, and then Ollie managed to dispel my Troll Guts. And what else? Then I went into the shooting phase. Then Ollie said that he was carrying the Dirty Chalice, which nerfs my shooting. And yeah, I still managed to put 4 hits on his wizard, but then I rolled like a git, and yeah, only managed to do 1 wound, which is very unfortunate. So with that, let's see. I shot with the cannon. I actually passed my 4 up for once, and managed to do 1 spectacular wound to a Minotaur. So while I would hope that I would have got that Minotaur unit down a few, I have in fact only slightly grazed the knee of one of them with 2 cannon shots, which is all I was allowed to take because the rest of my cannons have failed miserably, or my other cannon failed miserably. So yeah, with that, oh yeah, the 2 saber tusks are still fleeing, although my lead belcher has finally come back. So with that, yeah, it's time for Beastmen turn 5.
Okay, so in the Beastmen turn 5, and I pushed all my chips in. Obviously, I'd pretty much run out of support units, so now it's just time to use the big chips, and I shoved them right in. And amazingly, I actually made some charges. In fact, I made all my charges. I had to charge the harpies out of the way, so I charged the lead belcher, and they made it. They were rolling a 19. The gore needed quite high. It was like a 13 or something.
Yeah, well...
Yeah. Oh, 14, that's it.
14, yeah.
And they managed to make it in. The Minotaurs were pretty damn close, so they actually made it in as well, which I was most amazed by. And that's pretty much it. And then the magic phase, I managed to get a Whiston's Wild Form on these guys. Side reasoning that I had another one anyway, so there's not much point in dispelling the first one with the higher casting cost. And then I managed to get through... Oh, he then dispelled a Curse of Vanra here. And then with my last dice, I cast a Melkor's Mystify Miasma on this unit. Unfortunately, I only rolled a 1. The 2 would have been lovely, because that would have meant most of these guys hit me on 5. And that was it for magic. There's obviously no shooting, so we went straight to close combat. The harpies did a wound to the lead belcher. Lead belcher killed 1 in return. Won the combat, but he held. And then in this combat, with impact hits and... Well, it did the impact hits, killed a few. Torox absolutely butchered his BSB, doing an insane amount of wounds to him. Obviously ignoring armour, so he couldn't use his armour of silver steel. Then the Minotaurs and the Gore just tore up his unit. These guys are obviously strength 5, toughness 5 at the moment. Unfortunately, they did fail their primal fury, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, and the one BSB whiffed. And then in return, Sai killed 3 Gore.
Yeah. Well, there's basically just wasn't really really anything left.
When you got that kind of charge on you, when you're at like half strength anyway, that's always bad times. But especially getting Whistons on this unit. So yeah, so I beat him up quite handily. Of course, his general's still alive, so he's got the crown of command and he held. But then Sai's at this point just, well, we pretty much agreed that it's time to call it.
Yeah.
As the hour is late. Well, it's not that late, but I have to get to work, so... but yeah, so we've called it at this point, reasoning that this little lot here was going to chop up those few remaining ogres. And yeah, so overall a really good game. There was some horrendous luck on both sides, so I may have pipped it with the bad luck, so special honourable mention to that. But yeah, it's what I consider a really good game because just the whole battlefield was used. Everyone had some part in the battle, and it basically down to the core units to decide the winner. And I was extra happy here because obviously I didn't have shadow magic this time. Felt a bit dirty after casting that Mind Razor last week, so I decided to prove I could do it with just beasts. I know I've got level 1 of shadow, but he didn't really do much. The Chalice of Dark Rain was pretty handy, only to save his own arse though. Yeah, so getting this charge off was lovely. Setting it up, the best Dagor I think were my man of the match. They killed that Iron Blaster handily. Went into those ogres, although those ogres did pretty well. They killed 10 best Dagor in 1 round of combat. But then managed to beat those, managed to reform. And then when the Iron Guts went into me, managed to take out, I think I did 10 wounds in total, 2 to the BSB and 8 to the Ogres, before they finally went down. It was only when they, the 2 of them run off and failed their dangerous terrain test due to the... Sorry about that, run out of memory on my phone. So just using size now. Obviously not mine, so I can't get rid of it onto my computer. So yeah, so just saying the Besticore did really well. They sold their lives dearly. It was only because they ran away with the Curse of Ranrahir on them that the champion and the musician actually died. Otherwise I would have probably conserved the points to them as well. Yeah, so that was unfortunate. Yeah, and the chariots were worth a punt. They killed some Noblars and some lead belchers. Didn't do as well this time, but it certainly scared Si a bit. Well, for the few seconds that it was standing in front of him. But when I didn't get the Whiston's wild form on it, he wasn't so worried after that. Yeah, so I really like Laura Beast. It's a shame I couldn't get the transformation Kadan into the into my spells, but I didn't actually roll Curse of Ranrahir or Amber Spear for my level 4, so I had to use my level 2 to pick up those spells, so I had to ditch Transformation Kadan to get the second Wissons, so I would like to have seen that. Main reason I like that spell is because Si has the only real way to deal with it is with his cannons, and his cannons are useless, in my opinion. Well, in his opinion actually, I just agree with him. So yeah, not really much else to say. Like I say, got to go work soon. But it was a really enjoyable game. I'm really glad I beat that gut style without something cheesy. I'm very satisfied that I smacked them about. So it can be done. And hand you over to Si now. Just going to say that next week, looking to play my Dark Elves. There's a new book. I'm sure people know, but there's a new book coming out, and hopefully I'll have it by the Sunday so I can use it. But that's my plans for next week. So, hand you over to Si and see what he thought of the game.
Yeah, I'll keep it brief. I thought it was a great game. It pretty much come down to, well, in my opinion, was my last turn's magic phase, where Ollie got 2 channels, which I think was massive because it allowed him to prevent me casting Troll Guts, which basically meant he could whittle down my my ogres enough. Admittedly, to be honest, I really don't think that would have made any difference.
Well,
in this, well, yeah, I know, but in this particular instance, because of the number of well, basically the charge that Ollie got off was sufficient to sort of wear me down well enough. But I think obviously I think he would have beaten me with just the Minotaurs. The fact that I couldn't scratch the Minotaurs was exceptionally annoying. Yeah, I mean, one day I'm going to stand and video someone else shooting at him with cannons, and I'll be saving the 1080p for his tears. But alas, he will.
Don't threaten me with other people.
I fucking can.
I'm not saying I'm the best gamer in the world because I can beat you. I'm just saying
No, I know, but
claim that.
it's I want to see what happens when like cannons actually do things. Because I don't think either of us have really seen what cannons do.
No.
We're pretty terrible. So yeah, it's going to be hideous. Yeah, because obviously if we're going and playing a little tournament up Warhammer World at some point. I dare say there'll be 1 or 2 cannons that we'll both be facing, and I dare say we'll both have some Narm stories to tell each other. But yeah, until then, I might have to start digging for some high elves because
Is there enough cannons?
pretty much, yes. That was pretty nasty. Plus, it would be it'd be fitting to play high elves versus dark elves.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I'll have to see about digging the high elves out. I have to see about assembling some high odds as well, because I've got quite a few that need putting together. But yeah, I think pretty much the game came down to that final charge, and I think the fact that I didn't have enough ogres to be able to fight back properly was the main reason I sort of suffered so badly. I think like I said, if I hadn't have lost as many ogres as I did previously in the previous battle with them, then I think I would have. And obviously, if he hadn't have got the charge off, he rolled a double 6, so yeah, that's fair enough. That was well in. I figured he needed a 9.
I think I made most of my charges this game.
I think you did. You did very well with charges, which was, to be fair, it's quite well deserved.
Definitely a fail.
But yeah, but Ollie had to charge the harpies at that guy, basically because the harpies were in the way. But yeah, like I say, at the end of the day, I think he had enough Minotaurs to deal with that unit anyway. Because it's just the fact that they're very hard hitting, and yeah, they suffer. The ogres obviously suffer from piss poor initiative. But yeah, you know, it's that's the way the cookie crumbles. The Mournfang, I was a bit disappointed with, because didn't really manage to get much use out of them. I kind of wanted them to well, I don't know. I find it very hard to position the Mournfang correctly, because there's such a big kind of footprint relative to the rest of the army. I mean, those Mournfang are about the same footprint as one of those as the Gutstar. So I find it hard to get them into a position where they can actually do something without cluttering the battlefield. So I don't know.
I mean, you always commonly deploy something in front of the Mournfang, which I think is always a mistake. You always need to keep their charge clear, really.
Yeah, the trouble is,
because you spent more games reforming and moving those away from combat than ever charging.
Yeah, well, I wanted them away from combat, because there was no way they were going to dare take on 50 bloody 50 guys.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I figured that you'd be able to buff them well enough. I obviously didn't figure for the beast banner, but yeah, it's not really kind of. I don't know. I still have to have a good think about that. My chaff did pretty well. The Noblars were excellent. They really screwed Ollie over, which is great. I don't know whether it was.
Noblar Horde.
Oh man, Noblar Horde led by well, it's a shame they can't be led by an ogre. That would be quite hilarious, but. Yeah. So yeah, it was a good game. It was close. It was right up there, but unfortunately, there was just enough. It was sort of just enough for Ollie to dispel my troll guts, stop me getting it off. It's the use of he had a good use of a scroll as well. I could probably do with a dispel scroll in this army as well, because it's.
What is your second magic one?
Don't know. Oh yes, I've got Grutzicle.
Grutzicle and you've got 2 wizards, haven't you?
Yeah, it's because I've beefed up the Slaughtermaster with Fencer's Blades and Glittering Scales.
So you can still fill the spell scroll?
Yeah, I can. I'll probably remove Fencer's Blades and put in.
I hate the spell scrolls because you're also obligated to take them.
Yeah.
I absolutely hate it, but I was same with cannons. You think if I can take them, I should.
Yeah.
It's a horrible mindset, really.
Yeah, because the spell scroll is the ultimate kind of kick in the teeth.
Yeah, you're like, oh, nearly got this, and then someone just I'll scroll it.
Yeah. Because
bored of taking the spell scroll.
Yeah, because I mean, there was a couple of opportunities there where a dispel scroll would have been really bloody handy. But that's the way it is. But yeah, I think the reason I keep forgetting to put the spell scroll in, because this was the army that I rejigged, that I took the Hellheart out of, and I replaced it with something else. So yeah, I'll have to have a bit of a jiggle about of that. But yeah, we will just have to see what happens next week. Dig some high elves out, and yeah. Hope to God that they didn't decide to let Matt Ward get 40k on Dark Elf's arse, or I should be spending the rest of my money rebuilding my Dark Elf army to its former glory.
Yeah, if anyone knows if Matt Ward wrote the Dark Elf Codex, can they let me know before Saturday so I can cancel my order?